I want to take you back to 12 weeks ago. You were sitting in your car with the engine off, the hands on the wheel, and you could not bring yourself to open the door. That was episode 1. Now look at where you are. You have a mission sentence. You have an evidence file of what you have gone through, what the Lord has taken you through. You have Money Believes mirror with inherited lies rewritten with biblical truth. A list of 50 real people who you're going to offer a real thing through that Google Doc. 3 voice notes, 3 social media channels that are going to help you do this all. And you have done this in 12 weeks. We came from the believer who could not open the car door to tonight, to today, to this last episode of the season. So we're going to close this season by going back to the only question that has ever mattered. Why am I doing this? What is all of this for? So stay with me because we go back today to the why. Welcome to Freedom to Follow. I am Salime. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is the finale of season 3. So if you have never listened before, stop this episode and go back to episode 1 of season 3. Take the 12 weeks. The work happens in the order that it was given you. And if you're coming back home for the finale, I am so glad you are here because today it's going to be special. So let's get into it. I want to tell you why I am building Latinpreneurs. Over the last year, my family and I have been traveling around the globe learning from the global church. We have been in Thailand and Rwanda and Zambia and Vietnam and Japan and Latin America, Chile, and Argentina. And in every one of these places, I keep meeting missionaries. People who have given up their lives to live where the gospel was needed. Done by faithful people far away from the spotlight, but almost every one of them was American. I would sit at the tables and pray with them and with their children, and I would notice the same things. They have spent years learning the language, and years learning the culture, years trying to become something that they were not born into. And I keep having this same thought. A Hispanic believer, a family like mine, could walk into this community and feel like home in a week. We literally look like many of them. We know what it's like to live in third world. We come from third world. We know what it's like to live with less, how to stretch the dollar, how to start over. The unreached people groups of the world do not need somebody who studied their culture. They need someone who lived a version of it. And then I've learned about this statistic that has been in the center of this podcast. Indigenous workers, people from the field, people who look like the communities they're trying to reach, do 90% of the actual pioneer work in the world today, and they receive only 10% of the funding, 90% of the work and 10% of the money. The system, the missionary system that we have acquired from the American beliefs is not built for us. And it's not that it's bad, it's just simply not built for us. So I started asking what does our path look like? And the answer was simple. We need to fund our own obedience. Income that travels, income that does not require an agency, income that goes with us when God says go. That is what a digital business is. In our hands, with our calling for our people. This is why Latinpreneurs exist. There is a generation of Hispanic believers, men and women, husband and wives, brothers and sisters who are being called to send, plant, fund, build, and go. And the world is waiting for them to figure out how they're going to make this work financially. This is not really about digital business. The digital business is the tool, but the mission of the Lord, that is the point. Now, we've talked about Gabriela for the past 11 episodes. The teacher, her mission sentence, about her suegra, about her first 50, the Google Docs, all the things that she has done. But again, also that she was doing all of this so that her husband could plant the church and be a full-time pastor. Through the digital business of this mission sentence is how she is being obedient. She's allowing to plant this small church with the digital business. This is for real. For 7 years, her husband had felt this calling, and every time they pursued it, the answer was the same. It was a beautiful calling, but they didn't have the funding, the money model to send them. If you're an immigrant family, the numbers do not work for you. So you might be having this calling heavily in your life, but it's unfunded. And the digital business changes that. Gabriela's income covered their family's monthly needs within 14 months. She gave her notice, her husband gave her notice, and they moved and they planted this church. And it's a small, beautiful church, maybe 40 people every Sunday, but it's alive. And they have pastor doing preaching and discipleship on a community that did not have a Spanish language gospel-centered church before they went there. Now there is a town with this church and a faithful pastor every Sunday, because someone in that situation built a digital business that they gave their family the freedom to follow. So that's the why. This is what we're talking about. This is why I have built this season and I have taught everything that I can to start your digital business. Now, it's not the end. There's so much more to learn. But this is definitely the start, and you have the framework to make this work. So I want to talk about you, because everything I told you about Gabriela, about like how she learned about the 10 making model and how she funded the calling of her family, none of it works until it is true for you. You have to be on mission with the Lord. I have to say it out loud, because if I don't, then the whole season risks becoming simply like a digital business framework. And this is not just a digital business framework. This is the way of building our digital business. Only makes sense if you are inside real walk with the Lord. If you are not on mission with the Lord, the freedom you build is going to get you to spend on something else. The income will not fund your obedience. It will fund another vacation, another upgrade, a purchase of something that you do not really need. This whole podcast is called Freedom to Follow, because the freedom is important, but the following is the point. The freedom is what makes the following possible, but the following, the who we're following, is the most important. And for that, you have to be on mission with the Lord. You have to know Him, really know Him, not know about Him, but know Him deeply, personal, the way you know your husband or your wife or your child, not as a concept, but as a person. You have to walk with Him daily, in the small, in the quiet, in the morning, before you go to social media, in the word before the work, in the prayer that is not performance, in the church that not gets canceled because it stopped being convenient. You have to follow Him, even when His instruction is very small and might make you uncomfortable, even when the calling He gives you is not the calling you wanted, even when the obedience costs you what you thought was going to happen. That is what this whole thing of Latinpreneurs is for. The mission sentence is not the point. The first 50 is not the point. The launch is not the point. He, Jesus Christ, is the point. He is what makes this work. So if you walk away from this season with a business that funds your obedience, but you do not know the one you are obeying, then I have failed you. And I refuse to fail. So before we close, I want you to ask yourself honestly, in your heart, in the quiet of your heart, are you on mission with Him? And I'm not asking if you go to church every Sunday, although please go to a local church. I love local churches. I'm not talking if you're like a cultural believer. I am talking if you're walking with Him in a way that means that He is directing the use of that freedom you're building. If it's yes, then you're exactly where you need to go. Keep going. And if it's not, I want you to start there, not in the launch, with Him, in the Bible, with a prayer, walking with Him, because everything else comes after that. This is freedom to follow Him, the Lord, Jesus Christ, not freedom to do whatever. There's many other people that you can follow to do that. We're doing this to fund our obedience. So I made you one final thing. It's called the Season 3 Commitment. And it is waiting for you right now for free, as always, in latinpreneurs.com/the vault. If you already are a subscriber, latinpreneurs.com/login. And it is one page. It's not tactical, it is missional. The mission my business is going to fund is this. The first thing that I am going to do with my first $1,000 is this. What I'm building towards is this. I will not quit this work because this. And then you sign it and you date it. And you put it somewhere where you can see it every single day. This is the final page of season 3. The 11 exercises before this is about the bones of the business, of a digital business, but this is about the soul of the business. So go to latinpreneurs.com/the vault. Find the season 3 commitment and do it tonight. Do it tonight, because this is important. Now, one more thing before I let you go. For 12 years, we have been walking together, and I have been praying for you. Every week, I sit down and I record, or I batch record as I'm doing right now, but I do pray for you who are following me or who are listening to you. You are not doing this alone. Even when you feel like you are, there is someone praying for you. There is a believer in your life also who needs to know this, who needs to hear about this project, this movement, this mission, this vision. Someone in your small group that have not heard about this, someone like a pastor who wants to be in full-time ministry that can't, a lady in your church who has the abilities, but she does not know how to start. So please send this to one person. Tell them to start in episode 1, to take the 12 weeks. If it changed you, if it helped you, because this is how the mission grows, not through an algorithm, through you. Now, let's talk about what comes next. We are going to take 2 weeks off. We have done the work and we need to sit with it and see what comes out of it. And I need you to come back at full strength in 2 weeks. But I want to tell you something I've been working on as a project for this whole year. On planes, early mornings before anybody is awake and after I've done my quiet time. It is what the next season is built around. Now, I am not going to ruin it for you, and I'm not going to tell you exactly what it's yet, but I'm going to tell you this. I think it's going to change the way that you think about digital business in ways our Latino community has not seen yet. And I do not say this loudly. I have been thinking about this work for 20 years, and what's coming next is literally, I think, the most important thing that I have built. So 2 weeks off, and then we begin with season 3 of Latinpreneurs. But in the meantime, go to latinpreneurs.com/thebald or latinpreneurs.com/login and continue to walk with the Lord, show up in prayer, open your Bible, share this. Because remember, this is called freedom to follow Him, but the freedom is not the point. He is. I will see you in 2 weeks. This is Salime, and this was Freedom to Follow by Latinpreneurs. Goodbye.